Another high school superhero story. We have a young hero. He developed powers and that changes his whole world. And he started to grow with his father, thinking that he is now. And on this episode of Movie Breakdown series review, we're going to talk about why he isn't so invincible. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Ali Zakka. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdown Series Review. I'm your host, Ali Zakka. What's Movie Breakdown Series Review? It's a movie review series looking at new and old movies, TV shows, animes, series of them. So season 1, 2, and 3, episode 1, 2, and 3, movies 1, 2, and 3. Give it an overall grade at the end of it all. And we grade each individual season as well. Also, as a series or movie show, movie series, TV show, animation, animated movie review, let me know. Please put in the comment section below and I get to as best I can. Also, Patreon.com/Ali Zakka. And on that Patreon, get the cut in front of everybody. And wherever you ask for a review, I do it for you immediately because, one, you're paying for my services. It's only $2 a month. And I get out there and get ahead of it for you. You get to see it on Patreon before it comes on YouTube and Facebook. If it ever gets on Facebook, YouTube for sure. Now, let's go ahead and get into today's episode of 2021. And this episode I should say, or this review of this season 1 of this series of Invincible will have spoilers in it. So you haven't seen Invincible, go watch it. It's on Amazon Prime. It's 8 episodes, probably 40 minutes long. And 40 minutes to an hour long, I would say, not just 40 minutes exactly. But definitely go check it out if you haven't seen it, because this is for those who have seen Invincible and who just pretty much want to hear somebody else's thoughts and opinions on this season. I personally, I guess before I even jump to my first thoughts on it, what I said in the opener of this video is pretty much what this series is about. You have a main character named Mark Grayson. He's a 17-year-old high school boy who just found out he has superpowers like his dad. His dad's named Omni Man. He has superhero powers, superhero strength, flight, all the crazy stuff, like just ridiculous. Well, he's pretty much an alien. His father's the alien that came to Earth, met his mom, and voila, there's Mark. And 17 years later, Mark finally develops his powers, and he's learned to adapt with these powers. And adapt with the powers and also the responsibility of trying to juggle high school life and juggle the future and juggle being a superhero and juggle his father's expectations of him. And Mark tries to live up to all those things and try to do all these things at once, which, like any other high school superhero series or season, you can have an idea how it might go. But and this is where my first thoughts take over. The cool thing about this is that Invincible actually does subvert your expectations. Like, if you expect Mark to just come out, swinging like any anime protagonist, he's not going to be able to do that. He's not going to start swinging. And actually, one of the coolest things I like about this series, or this season so far, that the title screen, every time you see it, it gets darker and bloodier. And this series is graphic. It's MA, really graphic, to the point where like you have to take a moment to witness what you're watching. For me personally, the first episode is done so well. We have this giant happy moment, and you have all these heroes coming together and they defeat the bad guys, and getting the story built up. And then the title card hit, and then all of a sudden, post that, you get a moment where you're like, oh my gosh. And I remember I watched it with Steve for the first time, and I sat back, and Steve's like, bro, you okay? I was like, I'm not sure how I feel right now. Like, it went from such a happy moment to just shock and awe. Like, I literally had to sit there and ration what I watched. That's how crazy season 1 is. And the last episode of the season is the same way, where I had a moment where I was like, whew, what is happening here? But the writing for Invincible is so good that it makes you get invested in these moments and get invested in these characters. So when things happen, similar to Game of Thrones, you're almost like, oh my gosh, what did I just witness? And that is amazing. Great writing, great music, great sound effect and visuals in this season that makes you sit there and like, oh, okay, wow. And the one downfall for me of this season is the animation. There are certain episodes of the 8 episodes in this season where, you know, the animation, like the money went towards that animation. It was done really, really well, like on the spot on. But then there's other episodes where you will see the characters kind of walk into the house and it's like, I won't say low budget, but it's like the animation style is different. I don't know how much, I'm not sure how much the budget they had for this anime, or for this animation, for this cartoon, but the animation style almost like just seems kind of like it was like their first time working on this style of artwork. Like you can see where the characters do not move as smooth and come into frame as well, like when the giant action scenes are happening. And it kind of reminded me, when I was talking to Steve when I first saw this episode back in June, it reminded me of Justice League, the animated series, or like Superman, the animated series. However, like those animated series, the art style and the movements of characters and how everybody looks and move look more clean and crisp back then, which is like, you know, early 2000s. And then watching a 2021 series and those animation figures are still popping up, it kind of makes you like wonder like how much money they have for this, because when the last episode hits and the very first episode is like crisp and clean movements and animation figures, everything's perfect. That's my pet peeve. A lot of people are not going to bother them. Like they're going to watch this, you're not going to notice, you might notice some frame seems off, or a character might move a certain way or don't stand how like or don't look natural in an animated style, but you're not gonna bother you. Like somebody who watches, I love cartoons, I love anime, so I watch animated shows all the time. I can see when like, okay, this is 2021's animated style, this is a 2005 anime style, this is 2000, this is 1997. And when you see like 2000, 2005, 2004 animated style in a 2021 animated cartoon, you're like, something seems off about that. Like Family Guy moves a little smoother than some of the episodes of Invincible. And there's also some CG animation in this cartoon as well that you'll notice if you look for it. If you know, like your eye catches that, somebody who loves watching cartoons and animated shows, if your eyes catches that, you're like, oh, there's some CG works in here. But besides that, everything else in this show to me was perfect. I think it was done really well. Like character development, storyline, everything about that. Mark's personal growth and his development was spot on, where I was invested. Heck, they brought a character on in like episode 5 or 4 or 5 or 6 named Titan, and he comes back and you find yourself getting invested in his storyline of him trying to beat this boss out in order to take care of his family. He's not a villain. He just want to take care of his family. And I love the storyline of that. And I love the quips between Mark and Titan, where like Mark was like, wait, is that the guy we're looking for? And Titan would just look at him like head down, just like, really, bro? You can't tell who the generic robot guy is. And I just love those little things like that. I think that's kind of, those character quips in there are perfect for character development and character's personality. Like no matter if it's just a throwaway line, you can figure out what character personalities are versus their like, if they're in the background, they still have character personality versus them just being blank slate because they're not, you know, spotlighted at that moment. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and talk about some characters here. As far as actors and actresses, voice actors, I really don't do that for animated shows. I do it for a few of them, but I am going to do it for 2 characters in this series. One, Mark Grayson. I'm going do his voice actor, and then also Omni Man. But before I jump into that, I do want to talk about Robert Kirkman, who is the creator of this. He also has it's based off a comic book, by the way. Invincible is based off a comic book, so go check out the comic book if you're a fan of this season. Like, I personally didn't know anything about Invincible watching this, and now I might go pick up the comic books just to see what more goes on in this world. But yeah, check it out. I think the storyline is great for this. But let's go ahead and talk about characters. Mark Grayson, who is his voice actor is played by Stephen Young. I hope I got his name right this time. Stephen Young. I call him UN one time. I don't think that's how you pronounce it. But he was also in the movie Sorry to Bother You. But he does a great job bringing Mark to life. When Mark is scared, Mark is terrified, Stephen add the voice to that character to make it feel like you can feel the guy. Now Mark, I would say he is a young 17-year-old boy. He thinks he is invincible, quote unquote, and the dude will rush into battle, not have a game plan. And one thing that's cool about this cartoon is that you can see the mistakes that are being made. When it comes to superhero TV shows, movies, cartoons, you don't really get to see the repercussions of what happens when a hero just rushes into battle without a game plan. And Mark does that a few times on this show, and it actually, you see the repercussions that happens for him rushing to battle and not being aware of what's going on, or being quick to handle a situation where people die. And Mark witnesses that. He witnessed people dying. He's like, I didn't do a good job. And there's multiple times throughout this series where he's questioning himself on whether or not he is a good hero, or if he really wants to be a hero in this series. And as the series progressed, or the season progressed, he loses more and more. And it's tough to watch sometimes. You're like, man, they are really giving it to him. And then him trying to figure out how to bounce back. And the final fight between him and his dad is where, like, he's not gonna win. Is he gonna die here? Like, it is like, it makes you think, and it subverts your expectation, because every superhero, especially the protagonist, you assume is going to come out on top. You assume he's going to win and not lose, or he gets some ridiculous power boost, or something happens where he gets the one up on the villain, and 9 times out of 10 he needs to be rescued, or just the villain himself stops and it's just like, this is not fun anymore, I'm leaving. And Mark survives because of those things. Like, and he gets rescued, or the bad guy just stops. It's just like, yeah, I'm good. Like, man. Or he can't even say the bad guy. Like, the bad guy end up dying, and he just like, well, I tried my best. But I think Mark is an excellent character. I'm looking forward to see where he progresses in the series. He even has a whole moment where he doesn't want to reveal his secret identity to people, because he's like, I don't want to put anybody else in danger. You know, some of his closest friends figure it out. He's like, I just don't want to put anybody in danger, so he try to keep himself hidden. J.K. Simmons, who plays Omni Man / Nolan Grayson. J.K. Simmons is phenomenal. It is phenomenal. His voice acting, his tone, his delivery for lines, great. The last episode where Omni Man versus Invincible, and he's giving his think rant to Mark when Invincible was passed out, and Invincible was like, I still have you, Dad. He like, J.K. Simmons brings the animation and to life when he's like, where Omni Man is like, kind of like getting flustered and frustrated and don't know what to say, and he just makes these noises and just grunts and then flies off. And I think it's so great right there. And then the animation, the animators who made Nolan cry as he's leaving the universe, or leaving the atmosphere of Earth, is phenomenal. And Omni Man, the way he is written in this season is great. It's a murder. So this season is really a murder mystery that overlooms the entire season. And Omni Man murders like this universe's Justice League. He murders them all for the sake of bringing his planet to Earth, or bringing his homeland or his people to Earth. He's a Viltrumite. He is an alien from outer space. They all became colonizers pretty much, and going to different planets and colonizing them to make them stronger and for making them their vision, as Nolan would like to tell you if he could talk to you about this. Anyway, he came to Earth to do the same thing, but met Mark's mom and met Debbie, and Debbie changed his life and kind of brought humanity to him. So he didn't do anything and raised Mark, and then when he realized that Mark actually does have powers, he was like, this is time to implement my plan for Mark and now to take over Earth and pretty much run this planet. But Mark stands up against, because Mark actually is half human, and he sees that the dangers in killing people are not the right way to go, and he's like, we shouldn't be trying to enslave a planet. We just let them live and just take care of them, like help them out. And no one's like, nah man, F that. We're supposed to be on here, they're on a mission to conquer this planet. This is our job. And they go at it in that season finale. Like, they go at it. But Mark, I should keep saying I'm calling Omni Man Mark, but Nolan / Omni Man, he really pretty much put a facade on the whole season where he does not let anything out the bag. Debbie, his wife, is trying to figure out if he's the real murderer. There's an investigation on it, and he is like pretty much gaslighting everybody to like, no, and like I was knocked out just like the rest of the kind of like, I can't think of the name of the group right now, but the rest of like the Justice League, like I was knocked out like them. Like, we all were attacked. I just managed to survive. And it's really messed up how he plays and strings everybody along, and as the season progresses, you see him like his anger starts to show more and more out, and becomes more and more menacing. And you're like, please, let's find a way to protect these people. And there's a scene where one of the guys he kills come back to life and fights Omni Man and like try to gouge Omni Man's eyes out. Omni Man's eyes stays red for episode 7 and remaining episode 8. And in that episode, when I first saw that clip on YouTube, I just thought like maybe he took some kind of drug or got super strong or bloodshot, super power level, whatever the case may be. No, he was completely normal. He wasn't taking over. It was just, his eyes was like trying to get gouged out, so his eyes are super red or sore. But he is completely normal, under the right frame of mind, beating up his son and showing him that like humans are weak. It was really messed up. Omni Man's a really messed up character, like horrible and menacing. And I'm curious to see where it's gonna go in the future in season 2, hopefully season 3. If not, I just gotta pick up the comic books and read it from there. Then you have Adam Eve, who is another character that she's a side character per se, but she's another person who relates to Mark / Invincible, and they kind of become friends when he figured out that she's a superhero and she figured out that he's a superhero. They become friends, and throughout the series, there's a relationship that gets built between them as friends that you think might grow more, but at the time, Adam Eve is dating another guy who's pretty much a dick. He's a jerk. And matter of fact, he cheats on her in this season, and she kind of want to go confined to Mark, but Mark ended up getting a girl that he was looking at, he had a crush on. He gets this girl, her name is Amber. I'm going to talk about Amber next, but Mark ended up getting Amber. So Adam Eve is kind of like, well, I'm just going to go live my life. She has a whole arc with her trying to figure out what she want to be. Her family doesn't want her to be a superhero, but she wants to save people because she has the ability to save people. And she has a little arc there that I think is pretty neat and pretty cool to go with this storyline, like a subplot. And then the other subplot, which will bring in Amber, which is another character that Mark's girlfriend / ex-girlfriend. That's a very toxic relationship to me. Mark tried to be normal. He was given advice by Adam Eve not to reveal his secret identity unless he is super sure about this girl. And because he never revealed to her that he was invincible, he constantly kept making excuses for why he's late every single time. Kind of like the Spider-Man routine, where Spider-Man shows up late to meet Mary Jane somewhere, or meet Gwen Stacy somewhere, or whatever girl he's talking to, and they always get upset at him. And Amber is not a superhero. She's a normal person. So Mark was like, I don't want to tell her my secret identity. I just want to try to work this out. And eventually gets to the point where Amber does find out that he is invincible. She actually knew a long time ago, but yet just got upset at him for every time that he would disappear, Invincible will show up, or he won't be around, or be somewhere late. And it kind of made no sense to me, because like, if you knew he was invincible and he knew that he couldn't tell you why, and she got upset that he lied to her, she wanted to break up with him. But then at the end of the season, she comes back into his life and he willingly accepts her. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, and I get it. They're 17, 18 high schoolers in their senior year. So, like, that mindset of like, this could be toxic doesn't sit with them yet. Like, we'll try to work this out for the betterment of our relationship. And Mark actually was a point when to throw away, like, you know, being a superhero for Amber, or he thinks about it, contemplates that it'd be easier for him just to be a normal person. And Amber just like, okay, like, well, I don't want to be with you because you lied to me about being a superhero. And he's like, what am I supposed to tell you? And Adam even get upset at him because Adam's like, you shouldn't wait 5 months to reveal that. You're going to tell her, you should have told her, you know, when you gather, like, you know, I'm, I guess 3 months or 4 months in, I don't know. But she's like, you waited 5 months, you stringed her along. And Mark was like, what the? I didn't like how they flipped it on Mark, but it's, I don't like the way Amber reacted to Mark being a superhero and still like dogged him out. Which once again, in other cartoons and other anime and other comic books, the superhero reveals the secret identity to the girl immediately accepts it and keeps moving. Versus this one is like, no, forget you, Mark, which is like, huh, that's messed up, but okay. And this anime, or this cartoon does avert people's expectations, like it does subvert your expectations so many times. And that's one of those moments. Also, you got a guy named Robot who's kind of part of this group called The Team, and then New Guardians of the Planet. The name of the Guardians of the Planet is the name of the next group. He also has a story arc where he wants to be with his character called Monster Girl. I think Robot storyline, I did enjoy it, and I'm curious to see where that goes on in the future. He actually becomes a kid in this season. I'm curious to see how that progresses in the future. And this cartoon does a lot of good work with bringing in side characters and making you feel for those side characters. It will base an episode about them and kind of like introduce them more into the episodes. That way you grow with them. I think it's great. The writing in this show is great. Any other thoughts? This cartoon is very gory, very bloody. It makes sense when it happens, but it's like, whew. It's rated R, or it's rated MA. They talk about sex, there's cuss words in here. Matter of fact, when Mark cusses out his dad, you're like, oh, that's the first time he actually cut Mark cuss. You hear everybody else does it, but it's very gory, MA, so kids don't need to watch this one. Just give you guys a heads up, just adults only. Any other thoughts besides that? The music is great. I love the music. I love the pacing of the show. I think it's done really, really well. The only down part for me is the animation. Like, I don't think the budget was there for it, but hey, they gave it a shot. They swung for the fences, and I applaud them for that. Is this a cartoon you should watch? Yeah, go check this one out. Check this season out and get ready for season 2 and 3 if they ever make them. But yeah, definitely check this one out. It's one definitely you should watch. And grade time. I'm going to grade Invincible season 1 an A-. This cartoon gets an A- for me for the fact that the storyline is great, the dialogue is great, the plot points for characters is great, it makes you get invested, the music, tone, everything about this show is awesome. The only thing that bothers me is the animation. I feel like the animation, you know, it is crisp. It's for 2021, it's like you can tell it's a 2021 cartoon, but some of the movements for characters wasn't as strong, and you can tell what episodes got a lot more money invested in them versus episodes that didn't. But it's season 1. Generally, season 1 is going to have some of those moments like that. I'm curious to see what it looks like in the future. For example, Avatar: The Last Airbender, season 1 of Avatar: The Last Airbender design and drawing is different from season 3's animation because they got more money. So I'm curious to see in season 3 what looked more crisp and clean when characters walk into a house or characters standing or floating. It doesn't just look like they just picked the picture up, picked the animated up or the cartoon up and just moved it along, it actually looks like it's floating and walking and feel more lifelike. That's my only thought process behind that. But other than that, yeah, it's A-. If you see Invincible season 1, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below. Other than that, see you in the next episode when we break down series review, and keep being awesome. Thank you guys for watching this episode. I really appreciate it. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Also, you want to see what else I'm doing in my normal life and other things that's going on, please follow me on Instagram at Ali_Zakka. I'll put it right here around my face. Yep, right there. Also, if you want more episode of movie breakdowns or grind towards success or whatever it is I'm doing on YouTube, you know what? Follow my page right here, like I said before, the little comment thing right there, And then you can watch the last episode of movie breakdowns right here, and watch the last episode of Grind Towards Success right there. Other than that, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate y'all. See y'all next time. Keep being awesome.